Hello people, my name is Rage, and welcome one and all to our next Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Sorry, I just can't stop mimicking the trailer voice, man. He just sounds so sexy. Sorry, what was I talking about? Oh yes, theory, hype, fun, and general discussion-y video. This week, I think we're going to look at potential unused dual typings that may or may not show up in the new games. Now, granted, it is much harder to theory predict type combinations because they're mostly just random if we get new type combinations, so a couple of these are going to be here because they kind of work nice with the Sun and Moon theme, and then the others are basically because I think it would be badass. So without further ado, let's start with some bug love, because I've always liked bug Pokemon, which is weird considering I've never really liked bugs in real life. But either way, this one I think is very cool. I think we need a bug psychic Pokemon, because how have we not had a bug psychic Pokemon? There are so many bugs in the game, so many of them know psychic moves, and it blows me away that we've not had a bug psychic. When I was doing my research for this video, I was like, there's no way, there's gotta be, right? Like one of them has to be, and no, there isn't a bug psychic, and that's mental to me. So check this out. Yeah, how awesome is this? So this fits the theme of Sun and Moon, obviously very lovely, and it has the alternate path of introducing another unused bug type combination, another bit of bug love, and that is bug and dark. How awesome would it be in the early foresty area that you tend to get, finding this cool glowing caterpillar with a glowing crescent on its head and thinking, I wonder what the hell that turns into, and then it has this split path of the glowing bugs of the moon and the glowing bugs of the sun. Now granted, there is a little bit of just psychic and dark versions of Volcarona going on, but obviously these still look badass and they would be very cool Pokemon, so I really like the idea of a bug psychic and a bug dark. But the only downside is that both of these would have 5 freaking 2x weaknesses, which is quite severe. I mean, it's not horrendously crippling, and there are instances of Pokemon being used that do have that many weaknesses, but it does definitely put a point against them. But then again, I don't think that kind of balance is necessarily considered when coming up with new and cool Pokemon designs, so I think we're okay. Next up, I want to give Ice some love. I want to just take my love and put it... Wait, actually, this probably not a good sentence to say. So, Ice is a very underloved type. It's arguably the weakest type, and it arguably is everybody's least favorite type when you look at the Pokemon that are Ice, and just the type in general. It's often voted last on people's favorite type lists, and that's a shame because Ice has the potential to be very cool. I know. Oh, good times. So, I wanted to pair it with a type that it's not been paired with before that gives it a kind of sweet, badass look. And the answer to me is easily Steel, a Steel Ice Pokemon. Both of these types do marry well together. They are a very sleek look, they've got similar color palettes, and you could have a very badass looking Pokemon. And the thing is, a Steel Ice type would be very powerful, like seriously very powerful. It resists something like 8, I believe, of the other types. Now, it does have 2 4x weaknesses, so I think that kind of balances out its ridiculous defensive typing there. And I think something like this would make a fantastic Steel Ice Pokemon. I mean, look how well done that is. A massive prop to the artist, who I couldn't find credited anywhere, which sucks, but it looks amazing. Like, you can really see this being a Pokemon, and that final form perfectly encapsulates the style points of both Ice and Steel, and I mean, 10 out of 10 would beat the Elite Four with. Like, I would use that. That would be the first ice Pokemon that I genuinely really like and love. And I kind of want to see that in Sun and Moon. I really do. I'm sick of ice Pokemon for a lot of the time being these abstract floating things like Cryogonal and Vanillish and Glalie. You know, I want a good meaty animal ice Pokemon, and Steel is a good type pairing to go with it for pure badassery points. So next up, and I wanted to on this list not mention any type twice, so while I think an electric psychic would be badass, like controlling your thunder with your mind, we have had a bug psychic, so I'm trying to keep it varied in that sense. So I think next, something that would be quite interesting, and that is rock poison. Now this initially sounds kind of weird, but there are very toxic rocks in the world. I mean, just look at Cinnabar, which is an incredibly toxic mineral if you were to handle it. Now, I know technically minerals are not exactly rocks, but there's been mineral-based Pokemon before, like the red bits on Gigalith. You know, minerals and crystals formed in the earth have a deep connection to rocks, so we can get away with that for a Pokemon. So, back to the ridiculous that is Cinnabar, also known as Dragon's Blood, which is pretty damn cool. It's a red crystal that is formed deep underground, and basically it can release pure mercury if you heat it or even disturb it, which of course can kill you. So the idea of toxicity and rocky minerals, etc., do go kind of hand in hand. So I think a Pokemon based on this would be really cool. Imagine we take the red crystals as an inspiration and design a kind of rocky monster around it, something that looks pretty beastly, slow moving, that has the crystally spikes coming out, that has maybe straight up poison leaking from maybe cracks in its rocky skin around where the crystals go into it, and maybe smoke coming up for where the poison is trying to eat away at its own rocky body. It's like got this poison fog around it because it's just constantly burning, and it would just be really badass. I think there's a lot of cool design space, and I think a poison rock would be just fantastic to have a play with. Next up, we have then a Pokemon that I've wanted for generations, a Pokemon typing that I'm like, why can we not have this? It's gonna be so good, and there is an air of funniness to it, and it is grass and fire. Now, the idea of a Pokemon that is effectively a plant that someone has set on fire is very amusing, I will fully admit, but there are a lot of cool ways to do it. There really are. I mean, obviously you can have like a tree that has been completely burnt down to charcoal and still has a bit of fire on it, and it's like a burning Trent. That would be really cool. You could definitely see that, but I think there are some interesting designs that you could go for, because you could base it on like a wildfire, like a, you know, one of those massive roaring blazes that takes over forests, a Pokemon born out of those flames, and I think it would be really interesting to see where they go with a fire grass Pokemon. It really, really would. I think this is one of those types that are so opposite each other in how it should work that the resulting mix could be lovely. I was very tempted to say fire and water for the same reasons, but technically Volcanion exists, even though it's a mythical. I would still love a normal Pokemon that is fire and water, but you know, I had to deliberately choose stuff that is obviously not already a type in any form, including Megas for this list. So yeah, I would absolutely love to see a grass fire Pokemon. I really, really would. Alright then, next up we have my final main choice for new type combinations I would love to see, because the thing is, there's no point in me going over like 15 of the 20 that are missing and being like, yeah, these all would be cool, because technically speaking, every unused type combination would have something badass you could associate with it. It really would, but these very much are the 5 or 6 that I very much want to see. So we have Dragon... and fighting. We tend to get new dragons in every generation, of course we do, and a lot of the time they gain a typing they've not had before. I mean, I don't know how we managed to not get a dragon fairy, although that is a ridiculously strong type combination, but either way, I think a fighting dragon would be awesome as hell. I think about it, this monstrous draconic creature's scales and fire and just, it would look amazing, and then instead of using all of that, it punches you in the face. I mean, that would give a whole different meaning to a lot of dragon-based stories. So there I was, facing down the dragon, sword in hand, shield raised high above my head to protect against the mighty blaze, when out of nowhere the dragon punched me in the jaw, and ding ding, the round was over. We need more dragon RKOs out of nowhere in our lives, yes we do. So I would absolutely love to see a dragon fighting, because it would be sort of humanoid, stood on two legs, I would guess. It would probably be the pseudo-legendary of the generation, which I would be totally fine with. This very fast, agile, scaled dragon fighter. And in terms of the actual type combination, it really is fine. No significant amount of weaknesses, no significant amount of strengths. It would just be pretty solid as a typing, and I think the design options with it are just wonderful. So I need a dragon that punches people in the face in my life, you know? I really, really do. A part of me wants to see it just be really tiny and adorable, just because that would be hilarious to get smacked around by the world's cutest looking dragon, but it's just a master of martial arts at the same time, flipping around the place. Kind of like Yoda, in the sense that it looks just non-threatening, and then when it starts fighting at you, it messes you up. Either way, that is it for my main. I would love to see and hope we do see type combinations in Sun and Moon, but I will leave you with one extra one that I just think would be hilarious, but I doubt it will probably ever happen, but that is a normal ghost. Can you imagine a normal ghost Pokemon? All I can think of is just some dude with a sheet over his head going, "Oh, I'm totally a Pokemon," and while you could probably do some amusing stuff with it, the one idea I did have was, imagine your typical HM slave. They're normally a normal Pokemon like Zigzagoon that you just kinda use because they can learn a lot of the HMs. So imagine if the normal ghost was, let's say, a dead HM slave looking Pokemon that was being like reanimated because it was possessed by an evil spirit, and that was the normal ghost. I think that would be really cool and kind of fitting and a little bit meta to have them make that, because they know we like HM slaves and it would be revenge of the HM slave. I think that would be quite fun, but yeah. It actually only has one weakness and 3 immunities, which is quite hilarious when you think about it. So I don't know. I think a normal ghost would be funny, but I don't see it ever actually happening. But either way, guys, I will see you next time. This is my dual types I hope and think we will see in Sun and Moon, and I'm just so looking forward to the game. Let me know what you'd like me to discuss next time, anything you'd like me to hypothesize, etc, etc, and we will get right down to it. But for now, my name has been Rage. I will see you all next time. Subscribe for more and all of that jazz. Goodbye.